guys! Today I am going to be making some earrings with this cutter set. This is the Fiore cutter set, and what we did is we made a set that leaves impressions in the clay to tell you where exactly to place a little stem and leaves and flowers. So this set also comes with a leaf cutter and petal cutters so that we can make a cute little 3D mirrored flower on each of these. So I've got my clay colors here. I've got a little acrylic block that I'm going to use to help me roll a little snake of clay. I've got a foam pad and a ball tool, and then I'm also going to put some liquid clay details on it. Okay, I've just dipped my cutters in some cornstarch, and I'm just going to press them into my slab here. So as you can see, the cutter left some impressions to show us where the 2 little stems and 4 flowers on each will go. And the matching cutter set, the leaves are sort of in the same location as they would be. There's 1 large one down here and then 3 small ones. So I'm going to cut out some leaves with this nice dark green. I'm going to use clay that is thinner than a millimeter. I'm going to use a number 8 on my Atlas pasta machine. Just kidding, I used number 7 because 8 just seemed a little bit thin. So I'm just going to press this into my clay. You just need 1, but I'm going to do 2, just, I don't know, just in case I mess up any of the leaves. Now I've just got a little tiny piece of the green clay, the same color as the leaves, and I'm going to make the stem, and I'm just going to use this piece of acrylic to roll it into a snake. Okay, so now I've got a relatively uniform snake, and I'm going to cut my stems. There are 2 little cutters on the sides of each of these, and those are to help you cut the stem to the perfect length. So that one cuts the long one, and the one on the other side cuts this short little stem right here. Okay, I think it's helpful to sort of make the bottom of the shorter one a bit angled, a bit pointy. I think it kind of goes together a little bit better. So I'm just going to use my craft knife to cut just a little bit off of the tip of each of these snakes to make them a bit pointy, so that when the stems join, they kind of, they kind of join like that rather than another way that doesn't look as good. I also should have mentioned that if you would like to cut this shape out and then bake it, so that you're not really risking denting it while you lay down all of these little tiny pieces, denting it with your fingernail or with your tools or with whatever, that's an option. You can always bake it and then just use a little bit of oven bake adhesive to apply all of the little parts and pieces. I'm just risking it. I'm just gonna do my best to try to not shove my fingernail into the design anywhere, which, I usually end up doing all the way at the end. So I've got the little stem down, but it's not quite in the right place. So I'm going to use this soft brush to help me maneuver it a little bit, because I find that they're a great way to maneuver clay without denting it or warping it. I think that looks about right. I'm just laying the stems right over the lines that were left by the cutter. On these ones, I'm gonna roll the bottom a little bit to make it kind of pointy, a little bit less blunt on the bottom, for absolutely no reason whatsoever, but that's just what I'm doing. Oh wow, okay. You know what, when I'm doing this off of camera, it goes together really easily. But then I get the camera out, and I be bumbling. Okay, that wasn't so bad. Okay, now I'm just going to place all these teeny tiny little leaves, and when I'm doing this, I like to use a pin tool, and I will kind of stab the back of the leaf to maneuver it so it's kind of stuck, but you're never going to see the back, so nobody cares if it gets stabbed. So just lay it down and try to be gentle and try to be careful with the pin so you don't accidentally stab the base clay. Okay, now I'm going to cut out the little flower petals, and this cutter has flower petals in 2 different sizes, and I'm going to use both of the sizes, except I think I'm going to use 2 colors. I'm not really sure. I'm just going to cut some petals out and we'll see. I forgot to mention that this is very thin clay. This clay is under 1 millimeter, I would say probably about 0.7 millimeters. This is number 8 on my Atlas pasta machine. And the reason I'm going so thin is because when I form these petals a little bit on my foam pad, I don't want them to lose their shape much. And if you go quite thick with the clay, you end up having to squish them a lot and they lose their form. Another note about this clay is that it's not really soft and sticky. It's well conditioned, it's pliable, but it doesn't hold fingerprints super easily. I have to press really hard to do any fingerprints, and it's not so sticky and soft that it's really difficult to manage. Like you can kind of tug on it and it's not coming apart easily. So working with clay that's a little bit on the firmer side when you're making teeny tiny flower petals, I think is always a little bit easier. So I'm just going to lift these 1 row at a time and move them onto my little foam pad, and I'm probably going to categorize them by size just so I can keep track of what I'm doing when I'm making my petals. Okay, I'm just going to use this ball tool to create thinner petals that are a little bit more cup shaped, and what I'm doing is I'm starting in the middle, pressing down, pulling out, lifting, starting in the middle, and I'm going around in a circle, and I do that once all the way around before I put it down and go like that. That's just because if the clay is a bit soft, if you just place the ball tool down and go in a circle, it can kind of distort the shape. It's doing okay here, but I just have a practice of kind of squishing it in little bits of pressure before rolling in a circle. I think it ends up creating kind of a more uniform shape. And I think I'm going to make flowers that use 4 of the larger size and 3 of the smaller size, and it's kind of hard to tell on camera, but there's 2 colors here. This is it's a lighter orange up here. Okay, now that all my petals are a bit thinner and kind of cup shaped, I'm going to use this ball tool to pick up the back layer of my flower. So I'm going to do 4 petals in the back, and I'm just going to try to pick them up in a way that makes sense. Okay, I got those 4 little petals, and I'm just going to take it over here and try to gently squish that on there. Give it some gentle boops. And then I'm going to pick up some of these smaller, lighter colored petals and stick them right in the center of the ones that are already down there. Oh, I don't know, this one right here. Additional gentle boops. And I'm just going to use the ball tool to kind of curl them in a little, give all of the petals a little zhuzhing, just to add some character, add a little movement to the flower. Just gonna add some little clay balls to the very centers of my flowers. Just push them down there. I've mixed up a little bit of liquid clay that is this color, but maybe just a little bit darker, just to add a little bit of a pop to the border. And as soon as I finish painting this, I'm going to stick them in the oven and these will be done. Okay, they're out of the oven and all assembled. What do you think? I really love them. I made a larger one as well, just to show kind of slightly different flowers that I made on that one. What do you think?